Hello students. Topic of today's discussion is development of body cavities. In this session we will discuss the following features. First of all, we will talk about the formation of intraembryonic coelom. We will also discuss development of pleural, pericardial and peritoneal cavities, development of pericardio-peritoneal canals, formation of septum transversum, and ultimately we'll discuss the separation of body cavities and the separation of thoracic and abdominal cavities. First of all, we'll talk about the formation of body cavities. What leads to the formation of pleural, pericardial and peritoneal cavities? At the end of third week, there is a formation of intraembryonic mesoderm by the process which is known as gastrulation. And this intraembryonic mesoderm, it differentiates into three parts. From medial to lateral, they are paraxial mesoderm, which will form somites. Then we have intermediate mesoderm, which is in the form of cord. And today's body cavity formation deals with the lateral plate mesoderm, which is the lateral most part of intraembryonic mesoderm. In this diagram, you can see the red color structure on either side of neural tube is the paraxial mesoderm. We can also observe intermediate mesoderm and lateral plate mesoderm. So in this diagram, we can see that how we have the intraembryonic mesoderm has three parts. Paraxial mesoderm, which is close to the midline, which will result in the formation of somites, and intermediate mesoderm, which is like a cord, a very thin cord, and the lateral most part is lateral plate mesoderm. And here we can also see that there are certain changes which are occurring in the lateral plate mesoderm, and there is a formation of space or coelom in the lateral plate mesoderm. So, what are the changes in lateral plate mesoderm which result in the formation of the intraembryonic coelom? Small cavities they develop in the lateral plate mesoderm, and they come together to form a coelom or a space which is known as intraembryonic coelom. It is horseshoe shaped in structure, and in the middle it is narrow, where the lateral limbs they are broad. And because of the formation of intraembryonic coelom, lateral plate mesoderm, it forms or it splits into two layers, somatopleuric and the splanchnopluric layer. The somatopleuric layer is the one which will lie towards the ectoderm, and splanchnopluric is the one which will lie towards the endoderm. And a point is to be noted that this intraembryonic coelom doesn't extend into the mesoderm, which is lying cranial to the cardiogenic area. So here there is no space between the two layers of mesoderm, and somatopleuric and the splanchnopluric mesoderm, they are in close approximation to each other. This part is known as septum transversum. So here we can see in this diagram that how the red color structure where we have marked somite, this is the paraxial mesoderm, and we can appreciate the development of intraembryonic coelom in the lateral part of the intraembryonic mesoderm, and it results in the separation of somatopleuric mesoderm from the splanchnopluric mesoderm. The blue color area is ectoderm, and the mesoderm in vicinity to it is the somatopleuric layer, whereas the yellow color is the third layer or third germ layer, that is the endoderm, and here we have the splanchnopluric layer which develops, splanchnopluric layer of mesoderm. In these two diagrams, diagram A is the longitudinal section of embryo, and here we can see that how the pericardial cavity is placed cranially, and then we have the future pleural cavity and the peritoneal cavity. They all are derived from the intraembryonic coelom, and we can also see the arrows that they indicate the communication between intraembryonic coelom and extraembryonic coelom. So these two coeloms, they are in communication with each other before the folding of embryo. And then with dotted line, we have taken a section which is seen in the figure number B, and here we can see the transverse section, that how there is formation of intraembryonic coelom and how the extraembryonic and intraembryonic coelom, they are communicating with each other. And we can also appreciate the somatopleuric layer and splachnopluric layer of mesoderm in diagram B. Now coming to the formation of body cavities, intraembryonic coelom gives rise to all the future body cavities which are lodging the important viscera of our body, namely the pericardial cavity which lodges heart, and it arises from the middle of horseshoe-shaped intraembryonic coelom, that is the cranial most part. Then the peritoneal cavity, they arise from the lateral limbs of the intraembryonic coelom, and pleural cavities where our lungs are lodged, they are formed by pericardio-peritoneal canals which connect pericardial cavity with the peritoneal cavity.
Area. In this diagram, we can see the cardiogenic area, that is the heart tube, where we can see this is the area from where the heart has to develop. So it becomes ventral in position, and the cranial end of intraembryonic coelom as well as the developing heart, which were lying initially below the septum transversum, they now become cranial to septum transversum. So these are the longitudinal sections, three diagrams which we can see, and in the last diagram it is the effect of head fold and the tail fold, how the situation it changes. Now the septum transversum, which is a brown color area indicated in the last figure, it is lying caudal to the heart tube, right, because of the folding, craniocaudal folding. Now, how the lung buds they develop, or what about the development of pleural cavity? Lung buds which develop from the foregut, which are endodermal in origin, they invaginate into pericardio-peritoneal canal, as we can see in the diagram given below. And initially, the pleural cavity is in communication with the pericardial cavity through the pericardio-pleural opening, and also with the peritoneal cavity through the pleuroperitoneal opening. So initially all these cavities are in communication with each other. Now in this diagram, what happens is that the lung bud which develops from the foregut, it invaginates into the pericardio-peritoneal canal, and as with the subsequently as the lungs grow, the body wall, the thoracic cavity, it also increases in size, and later on.
So this is the dorsal view of embryonic disc in third week, that is before the folding of embryo. Here with the dotted lines we can see the intraembryonic coelom, and arrow, white colored arrow indicates the communication of extraembryonic coelom with the intraembryonic coelom. And we can also see the splitting of mesoderm because of the intraembryonic coelom into two layers, that is the somatopleuric mesoderm and the splachnopluric mesoderm.
The cavities they have to separate, and that occurs by the virtue of the formation of certain types of membranes. We have two types of membranes: pericardio-pleural membrane and pleuroperitoneal membrane. As the name suggests, pericardio-pleural membrane will close the pericardio-pleural opening, and pleuroperitoneal membrane will close the pleuroperitoneal opening, and because of these, all the cavities, they are separated. In this diagram, we can see the arrow is in pericardio-peritoneal canal in the diagram A. This is the situation in the 5th week of intrauterine life. And then we have the development of membranes, pleuropericardial membrane. It reaches in the midline, and ultimately we have the separation of pericardial and the pleural cavity, and the lungs, they grow and expand into the pleural cavity. So all these pleuropericardial folds, they are mesodermal folds, and they initially they arise from the lateral aspect of the body wall. Then they increase in size, we can see, and later on there is increase in they approximate each other, eventually meet with each other in the midline and separate the pericardial and the pleural cavities. Phrenic nerve, it always accompanies the pleuropericardial folds. We can see in the diagrams, in diagram A and diagram C, we can see yellow color dot, which is the phrenic nerve, and it accompanies the pleuropericardial fold. And these folds, basically they give rise to the fibrous pericardium. So in adults, we can see that phrenic nerve is in contact with the fibrous pericardium. And then the pericardio-peritoneal canals, they are occupied by the developing lungs, they expand and they later on become the pleural cavity. So here we can also see that how these lung buds, they punch into the visceral mesoderm, and the mesoderm, which is lying outside the lung, develops into the visceral pleura, whereas the mesoderm just near the body wall develops into the parietal pleura. So we have seen that the mesodermal extensions, pleuropericardial folds, separate pleural cavity from the pericardial cavity. Now, pleural cavity has to be separated from peritoneal cavities also. So what are the structures which are causing this separation? There are three structures which are responsible for separating the pleural cavities from peritoneal cavities. We already know what are peritoneal cavities. They are the caudal extension of pericardio-peritoneal canals, which are occupied by the developing lungs. The cranial part is occupied by the developing lungs and will form the pleural cavity. Now, both these cavities are separated by number 1, septum transversum. Second structure separating them are the pleuroperitoneal membranes, and posteriorly dorsal mesentery of esophagus. They cause the separation of pleural cavity from the peritoneal cavities. So, description of septum transversum is given in this slide. What exactly is septum transversum? It is a mesodermal structure which develops around at the beginning of 4th week, cranial to the cardiogenic area. So before folding, it is lying cranial to the heart forming area or the cardiogenic area. But after folding, when the folding occurs, it presents as a horizontal septum, which is extending from ventral body wall towards the dorsal body wall. Now, as its name suggests, septum transversum. So it is lying in a transverse plane, and it separates the developing pericardium from the developing liver below. Right? But it does not extend till the dorsal body wall. It stops somewhere in front of the dorsal body wall, and it partially separates the pleural and the peritoneal cavity. So there is some gap present dorsally between the dorsal body wall and the septum transversum. So they are in communication with each other. the peritoneal cavities and the this canals, pleuroperitoneal canal, they are in communication with each other dorsally. And septum transversum contributes to the formation of, in adult life, central tendon of diaphragm, ventral mesentery and stroma of the liver. So in this diagram, this is the ventral view of embryo, and we can see that after folding of embryo around 4th week, how the pericardial cavity becomes cranial, and the green color structure is shown over here is the septum transversum, and on both the sides of septum transversum dorsally we can see the pericardio-peritoneal canals, and we can see that how the peritoneal cavity, it's their blue color structure, it is there lying below. So this is the position of septum transversum. After septum transversum,
Another structure which results in the So after septum transversum, pleuroperitoneal membranes, they are also responsible for the separation of pleural cavity from the peritoneal cavity. Now we already know peritoneal cavities are the caudal extension of pericardio-peritoneal canal, and the pleural cavities and the peritoneal cavities, they are separated by, apart from septum transversum, by a pair of mesodermal extensions from the dorsal and the lateral body wall in the transverse plane. And these membranes, they increase in size and they reach or they approach the septum transversum because they have to fuse with it, because we need a complete separation between all these cavities. So they come in approximation with each other. They approximate each other. They come close to each other. Septum complete separation of all membrane cavities. And dorsally structure occurs around 6 or 7 feet of light. And fusion of three structures: septum transversum membrane, pleuroperitoneal membrane on the ventral aspect, and the dorsal esophagus on the posterior aspect. Now, seals of thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. So these are the structures which result in complete separation of all the pleural cavities, namely the pleural, pericardial, and the peritoneal cavity. Thank you.
thank you.